So hello everyone, welcome to our second round of sessions at the Brout Queer Day. This morning we have Renan Baraúna with us. Hello everyone, welcome to our second round of sessions. Oh, just a second because I have the YouTube talking over me. 1 second, just a bit. So, Renan is an undergraduate student at Faculdade de Cultura Inglesa, as well as an ESL teacher at Associação Cultura Inglesa São Paulo. And his talk is Motivation in ELT, a study case carried out with the teachers from the social project English to Transform by English to Transform. So, over to you, Renan.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Well, I would like, first of all, to thank you very, very much for the opportunity given. It's a huge pleasure to be here this morning talking about a very important topic, which is motivation, right? Especially in our area, the ELT. I'm so, happy to be here talking to you. And I hope we have, such an amazing time here. Please answer your questions as soon as I finish talking so we can collaborate, we can share this knowledge, right? So I will be sharing what I have prepared to show you. As Bruno said, I am an ESL teacher. Now I'm concentrating my area of studying basically on motivation. Well, can you see the slides?
Yes, you have to open the slides now, Renan, please.
Okay. All right.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's opening. Yeah. All right. So
wonderful.
Can you see? Can you see the slides?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. So well, firstly, I will be showing you some definitions on motivation.
Put it on presentation mode so that we can, wonderful.
Better now, yeah? Great. So I will be talking about some very canonical definitions of motivation. Then I will be moving on to presenting the project English to Transform, which is a beautiful initiative. Then I will be talking about the objectives of my research and the results. And finally, I will be showing you some future perspectives of what I am inclined to still be investigating. So I'd like to ask this question to you. You don't have to answer now. It could be more to a reflective question. What actually motivates you? Since I'm talking to many English teachers here, language teachers in general, of course you have asked yourselves what actually motivates you to wake up early in the morning, then spend long hours on your journey teaching English or any other languages, and actually inspiring people, helping them become better and more active professionals or people, let's say, in our society. I have highlighted some very important topics here, such as, well, what motivates me? Maybe school, films, maybe music, maybe my friends or family, or my passion, or simply because I want to pursue my education, university. Actually, technology, why not? Since we are surrounded by many technological tools and gadgets nowadays, well, English could be just an excuse for us, to be more entailed. But by motivation, let's talk about the very canonical definitions. I would like to highlight Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in 1970, when he came up with this definition of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. while I was carrying out my research, I was reading, I found out that this was not actually provided as a pyramid, but it's interesting to see how it was clearly defined and structuralized from this perspective. Maslow came up with this theory, and he says that for an individual to keep motivated, we actually need to have simple but not less important elements in our lives, such as breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, and expression. Then we can move on to another stage, which is safety. We need to feel safe, yeah, not only in terms of family, yeah, which is actually the first institution, if we consider our first social institution that actually takes care of us, or at least should take care of us, but also to have a job, we need to be employed, we need resources, we need morality, health, of course, property, and then we can move on to the next stage, which is love, and belonging. So we need our family one more time, yeah, our friendship. We need to have friends, we need to be surrounded by people who love us, and also sexual intimacy. Then we can climb to the next stage, STEAM. I would say that this is a bit more, well, personal, but at the same time, it's also part of our ourselves as individuals, but part of our society as a whole. So the self-esteem, the confidence, the sense of achievement, respect of others and for others, why not? And then self-actualization. This is on the top of the pyramid. But one more time, there are other interesting elements from the basis, such as morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, and acceptance of facts. So Maslow defends the idea that only when we are on the top of the pyramid can we have these elements very clear, very defined in our lives. But we need to have the basis. So how are we going to give the second step if we can barely have what to eat, what to drink, yet water? I mean, if we cannot have a house, our family, and those people who are there for us. So having said that, I would like to explain a bit more why I decided to tackle motivation, especially this morning. My object of research is actually teachers. I would also investigate the motivation of learners, which I will be explaining at the very end of this talk why I chose to talk about teachers at first. I am a teacher. I am constantly asking myself why I still do this after 9 years. This is good because this is, room for reflection. We shouldn't simply wake up in the morning and then have one more day without asking ourselves, what am I going to do today? How am I going to motivate my students? Or actually, can I really motivate my students? Since motivation can be something very intrinsic, right? How am I going to do to make my learners, engage in this learning process? So that is why I decided to investigate it. And then I chose this very interesting project. Let me explain you how it actually works and a bit of the historical background. This is the English to Transform. In fact, this here, as you can see, is the Casa Casa is a shelter that gives housing to LGBTQ people under vulnerable situations in São Paulo, Brazil. And it's really interesting. From the very first moment I I got there, I felt, you know, a different atmosphere. It's just amazing. And there, actually, the English classes occur. So I talked to Paolo Pugliese, who is the teacher and the coordinator in this project. He has been developing a very project there. But I'm going to start telling you how it actually started. Paolo created this project in 2015 in the city of Osasco, here in São Paulo. His first idea was to teach, especially transgenders, and also people who are or were related to the sexual area. I mean, professionals of the sexual area, yeah. And then in 2015, after quite a few years teaching English, he started asking himself, well, I've never had a chance to teach transgender student before, and why not? Why aren't these people here in my classes? What's going on? Can they really have the chance to be here? So he started developing this great project there. He had some kind of help, let's say governmental help. The mayor there actually gave him the chance to teach the lessons in a building where he could no longer use after, you know, this last elections here. Yes.
Just a second, dear. It's that it froze your presentation. We're still seeing the pyramid you showed, and people on YouTube can't see your presentation. Can you please make sure you share your screen again?
Oh yes. Let me see. Is it okay now?
Just a second.
Okay.
It's not showing for me. I still see the Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Okay.
Stop sharing your screen and then do it again, please.
Okay.
Do you see that below? Interromper compartilhamento.
Yes, I have just. Well.
Yeah. Now I'll see you, and then go back to share your screen.
Okay. All right. Can you see that now?
No, I see you.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, no problem. Let's try and get this thing done.
All right. Well, please let me know if you can see the slides again.
No, I can't. There's something wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. No problem. Let's do the following. Sometimes it's a problem of rebooting things. Can you please? Okay. Yeah. Now I see the presentation.
All right. So can you see the picture of the Casa
and social project Casa Yes.
Great. All right.
Do it on presentation mode. Yeah. Let me just ask if people can see you. Or if they can see the presentation. Is everything okay, guys? Yes, it's good. Go ahead, Renan.
Okay, so just for you to have an idea, this is a picture of Casa, right? And I was talking about how everything actually started in 2015 when I was going to move to 2016. After the elections, Paulo had to move to São Paulo because he could no longer teach there. He had no building and no help, no governmental help anymore. So he ended up moving to São Paulo, where he found and settled a partnership with Casa. And since 2016, he's been teaching English there, which was a great initiative because he could start teaching the people who live there. Casa as I said, is a shelter that gives housing to LGBTQ people who have been sent away from home after becoming openly gays, lesbians, bisexuals, transgenders. And yes.
It went off again. I don't know. Maybe Eduardo is saying that for you to leave out the presentation mode, just share the screen. Let's try do it again, please.
Yeah. All right. Can you see me?
Not yet.
Oh, sorry. I can see you. My connection is okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a problem with your connection. Maybe it's a thing with sharing your screen. Now, let's go back to the screen sharing button, please.
Yeah.
And then when you open your presentation.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you see that now?
Just a moment. It's opening.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sorry to break you up. I'm really sorry, Hannah.
That's okay. That's okay. I can totally understand. Yeah, technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me of one of those lessons from Passages, if I'm not mistaken. Suffering from technophobia.
I still don't see anything.
No? Well, if you want, I can still be talking about the project while it opens.
Now I can see the presentation, right? I think it's let's leave it like this, because I think when you put it on presentation mode, it somehow it disconnects. I don't know why.
Right.
So let's do it this way, okay?
Okay. So and now the project counts on 18 teachers and about 70 students. So the classes occur once or twice a week. So usually on Mondays and Wednesdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, or just Saturdays. So the teachers, some of them actually share the classes, considering that, you know, teachers have to work. We have to wear many hats. And so some of them still teach or work with at publishing houses, for example, and they have the chance to work in a more collaborative way. There are about, yes.
Let's do the following. Can you please send me your presentation, and then I'll control the presentation here for my login, and then you keep talking, you know?
Okay, via email, right?
Yeah, it could be via email.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. So please be patient. We're facing like some technological problems here. He's going to be sending his presentation to me, and I'll be sharing with you. Maybe it will work. Let's hope.
Mm-hmm.
You can send it to the Brout email, please.
Yeah. It's still loading. Okay. Okay, just send it.
Okay, let me get in.
All right. Okay, would you like me to interrupt this sharing?
Yeah.
Or
please.
Okay. So.
Okay, so let me just try this. Oopsie doopsie. Okay. So can you see it, Hannah?
Yes.
So which slide were you in?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one?
No, 7. Yeah, 7. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so when you want, just let me know, and I'll change the slides for you.
Yeah, all right. So, and as I was talking about, yeah, there are between 12 to 15 students in each class, which actually represents how the course and the classes are approached. If you can please move on. Yeah. The approach itself actually is has a lot to do with the Vygotskian views of you know, the human being, the cognitive, so on and so forth. It was he proposed this approach, saying that it's a developed and social cultural theory of mind, and its central principle is that higher order cognitive functions are internalized from social interaction with more competent others. Well, students are leveled from the very beginning, so Paulo and the other teachers can have an idea of how much they can perform in English, and then they can start the lessons, having classes in basic and pre-intermediate, and if I'm not mistaken, from next year on, they will be offering intermediate classes. Yeah. Okay, you can move, please. Well, based on the motivation of teachers, again, I decided to establish four objectives of research. The very first one is to try to identify which motivational factors, either intrinsic or extrinsic, led teachers to give classes in a course for LGBTQ learners under vulnerable situations. While talking to Paolo, he said that the students actually are considered under vulnerable situations as they have been sent away from home. If we go back to the pyramid, we can see that for you to develop yourself, you must have the basics, right? And these people could barely have a place to sleep. So this is what first intrigued me. So, well, how are those people learning a second language? Is it really relevant to them? How do the teachers actually feel? Because something is to teach in a very safe environment where you can have the chance to present some new technological tools. In other words, school, especially private schools and institutes of language, something else is to teach at a social project where people can barely have, you know, their dreams and hopes again. In fact, some of them could never even think they could have such, you know, dreams. Yeah, and this is actually intrigued me from the very first time. Now I cannot see the presentation, but if you can move to the second slide.
Yeah, but we're having problems again, Hannah. I don't know what's going on. I really don't know.
Okay, don't worry.
Yes.
People can listen to me, so yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Edu, can you see it now?
Yeah, sorry.
Objective 2?
Yes. The second objective is to try to highlight what the teachers' gains are, given the fact that they are working on a social project. They're not having any sort of financial profit. So what makes those teachers, once again, wake up in the morning or actually devote themselves to these students, considering that they're not going to make money effectively, or they're not going to have any, let's say, academic opportunity. For example, some teachers would do this for, I don't know, pursuing their education or traveling abroad to study, maybe. Well, then the third objective, if you can move, please, is to verify how the teachers act so that both they and the students can keep motivated and continue to participate in the project. It's really important to understand, although there are guidelines, I mean, it's really important to understand how the teachers act in each class, considering that they are teaching individuals with a special, interests and needs. So what are we going to do? Are we going to teach the guidelines? Are we going to teach the people? How are they going to be motivated to do so? And finally, the fourth objective is about the choice of materials. So why did the teachers create tailor-made material instead of using the material available in the market? Wouldn't it be easier for them to simply use textbooks that are already on the market, or maybe online? And then we're going to move on to the results, actually to questions, results, but this is actually the tool I used to investigate the teachers' motivations. I used Google Forms, and then I could have the chance to analyze a bit of their discourse. These are the questions I asked them. So each question is related to the objectives, as you can see here. And from the questions, we have very interesting answers from both the perspective of teachers and also, of course, human beings. Since we are dealing with people, it's very interesting to see how they work. I mean, at the end of the day, we all share the same views, right? We're teachers. We are devoting ourselves to the education and to inspire people, to help them become better people, regardless of their sexual orientation. And I'd like to move to the next slide so we can have the chance to talk about the answers. Let me explain you why there are just 3 teachers, due to time constraints, of course, and I still haven't finished carrying out this piece of research. I have analyzed the answers of teachers, actually 3 teachers who have been, let's say, more present at the project. So if you can please move, we're going to analyze the answers. Yeah, here, the teacher 1. Well, about the motivation. This teacher has always wanted to work in a project that helps LGBTQ people, which is really interesting. And I don't think we have many in São Paulo, not yet, or not even in Brazil. Speaking from myself, I come from Belém do Pará, a city up in the north, and I have never seen such an initiative there. I had the chance to teach gays and lesbians, but I had never had the chance to teach transgenders, for example. It would be just marvelous to help these people, especially considering that most of them tend to be a bit more marginalized than others. Yeah, ourselves, I mean, gays, lesbians, bisexuals. He also likes to feel that he's doing something to help people. And the teacher-learner relation, it's really good to see how he connects to the students and how he feels the need to connect to his students. We all know that some people can disappoint us when we teach at schools or regular schools or institutes of language. There's always one student who tends to be a bit more challenging when we are dealing with a class full of people. But yeah, I like to see how this teacher wants and feels the need to relate to his students. He also sees the importance of using a more learner-centered approach and discusses topics that are more relevant to the students. So once again, since we gays, lesbians, transgenders tend not just to be represented in the language classes, and this initiative is actually there to help people have some visibility, have some power. It's nice to see how this teacher has been working, and he finally finds it important that students use relevant material. Well, and by relevant material, I would say something that is developed according to their needs, to represent them, to make them have some voice, yeah, which is really interesting. And then we have the answers of teacher 2, which can somehow relate to teacher 1. If you can please move. This teacher, she has worked in schools, but yeah, she's currently working at a publishing house. She also develops material. And she felt the need to come back to the classroom. It's been about 5 years since she hasn't been in the classroom teaching effectively. So last year she felt the need to come back. So she somehow found this way to come back and to put into practice what she has been studying. The teacher has a very nice, very actually vast curriculum. She has attended, if I'm not mistaken, 2 colleges, and she's planning to take her post-graduation now. She also loves teaching and believes in education as a means to change the world. These aspects, if we can relate to the question 3, but more than that, she feels free to teach human beings regardless their financial conditions. I remember that she mentioned something about teaching at schools where people really pay to have access to the knowledge, but they want you to be the provider, the one that's going to open their minds and put some knowledge there. But yeah, she was quite, she was not that happy. And then once again, she could reconnect, right, by teaching there, by start working at the project. And finally, she sees the materials available as too patternized. Yeah, she also mentioned some heteronormative beliefs that the learners benefit actually by changing this way to use the materials. She says that the students can better benefit from this material, which I will be talking about next slide. Yeah. Teacher 3 is the one that has been working as a teacher for about 15 years. And he had never had the chance to teach specifically transgender students. He asked himself, well, I had never had the chance. Why aren't these people here? What could I do to help them more? He also believes in this work as a mission and feels the need to help these people have more visibility in our society. As I previously said, especially transgenders tend to be more marginalized, tend to be more apart. You can barely see transgenders working effectively as lawyers, for example, teachers, why not? Physicians, and it could be great to see such, people working just like we are. He also tries to contextualize what he teaches as much as possible so the learners can get engaged and relate to what is being taught, which actually is room for, answer number 4. He uses examples of LGBTQ people around the world so the learners can feel that they can be represented in a natural way. I remember hearing from him that he uses examples of famous people, celebrities that are there, also families, lesbians, gays, and all the other scopes within this acronym LGBTQ. And he also said that it's nice to see how their students' eyes actually shine when they are having classes, because they can somehow relate and they can feel that they can someday be there too, being represented, right? And moving to the next slide, I'm going to show you some, the common point. By analyzing the answers of those three teachers, we can assume that this is a way that how they see the course itself, this practice. It's like something like, I see you, I see me. All those teachers are somehow gays or lesbians, and these three teachers actually I have analyzed the answers, but from the team, the 18 teachers, yeah, most of them are LGBTQ. Even those who are not tend to see a way to help others, yeah, who might, you know, not have the chance to attend a formal course, pay for it. But especially the LGBTQ, most of them had the chance to study, to go to one of these very traditional schools, to pursue their education, to learn a second language in this, let's say, safe environment. And I mean safe, because somehow they were there, even disguised, let's say. But we're having a chance, whereas the others, the students at the English Transform, if it weren't for this initiative, might not have such a chance. And they are there, you know, putting themselves on the students' shoes and developing just an amazing work, you know, trying to help them. And finally, if you can move to the next slide, I will be talking about the future perspectives. I was reading very important material from Thorsten, and I found this very important quotation here, which is related to the sexual literacy. Of course, there are many ideas that we can use when we think of the future perspectives of teaching LGBTQ people, especially those who are under vulnerable situations. But I would say that one of the most important ones is the idea of empowering them, to empower learners to understand, to communicate about. Communicate about is something really important because they can do that in Portuguese in their L1, but if they could do this in their L2, they would have the chance to be talking to the world about themselves, their experiences. Why not making their linguistic choices, being themselves, being who they are in a second language, and participate in these courses that relate to the sexual and gender identities or even the queer cultural phenomena. And that's basically it. So if you can move to the next slide. These are the contacts. So if you want to keep in touch with Paolo, this is his email address, and there's also the fan page, the Instagram page. So if you want to follow, to have an idea of the wonderful work that they developed there, yeah, just keep in touch. It's going to be good to be, you know, spreading this to the world, right? And I wish we could have more initiatives like that. I mean, worldwide, that would be just amazing. And that's it.
Yes, let me just. Can you please mute your mic, please?
Okay.
There's a little bit of echo. So sorry, guys, we ran into some technological problems with Renan's presentation, but we are sure that you got the message. And now it's time for questions. If you have a question, and maybe on a suggestion that we can make, Renan, is that you share your presentation with the people, right, after the presentation. So question, guys? Anyone? I have a question for you, Renan. You can unmute your mic, please. You hear me?
Yes.
My question is, how did you end up at this project, and what was your motivation? What happened when you first started, and how it changed you, not only as a professional, as a teacher, but as a person? What has changed since then?
Well, I was trying to find something relevant in terms of research, right? And considering that all these things that we have been experimenting nowadays in terms of, if on the one hand there are people talking about this gay agenda, right? On the other, there are people they're working very hardly, you know, to demystify this thing and actually just give voice to LGBTQ people. And when it comes to teaching, for example, as I said, I have always tried to find something relevant to investigate, and this is what actually drives me. I think about it every day. I would like to teach at the project. I would like to have more free time to be there, helping the people. And this somehow is related to the way I see the world. When I see these people, for example, I can put myself on their shoes. And some of my friends, even my students, know that I kind of had to steal money from my mother to pay my English course because she couldn't see the importance of learning a second language. And I cannot regret. I have told her that I did it simply because I love languages. Yeah, I teach English and Spanish, and I wish I could learn more languages because you can relate to the world, you can be yourself in a different language. And I think that empowering these people, giving them the chance to be who they are in a second language, yeah, universally, would be just amazing. It pisses me off when I see people, especially those who want to learn a second language and cannot have the chance to. I wish I could, you know, bring them home, start teaching them here, you know, but yeah, it's not possible. So when I first heard about this project, I said, well, this is marvelous. I want to be there. I want to be developing something relevant, not only to the academia, but, you know, to the society as a whole.
Mm-hmm. And now we have another question, Mabo, from Natalia Afonso. She's saying that in Rio there is a project similar to Casa making, which is in the making. It's called Casinha, and she wants to know what advice it would give to the people who want to create an English course there.
Well, first of all, you have to be passionate. Yeah, you as teachers. I think that many teachers suffer from something that's very, you know, from ourselves as human beings, vanity. This is the problem. We shouldn't suffer from it. Since we are dealing with other people, especially the ones who have needs, yeah, they want to be embraced. They are human beings. They want to have their needs met. The first thing you should do, and from the observation that I have, you know, at the Casa, for example, you need to love what you do. From this, you can start thinking about something very structural. I mean, creating guidelines, thinking about what you were going to address in terms of content. and also something that I myself try to use to my life. How would you like to be in 5 years time, in 10 years time? Yeah. And this is something that you have to plan. You also have to plan, especially when you are teaching. And even more if those people are LGBTQs under vulnerable situations. Unfortunately, they are there. They are around. I have been talking to people who are, being stuck at home, and they talk to me via Facebook, and this is just amazing to have this relation to them, to try to give themselves some, comfort. Yeah. But yeah, I would say you just have to love what you do and then plan. Planning is really important. And then, of course, you will never do that by yourself. You have to find a team to support you, to be there with you, to share the same views, right? As educators, above all.
Wonderful. Another question, Hannah, is that for you, this is coming from Thomas. For you, what is the role that English plays in transgender people's lives?
Well, not only in transgenders peoples, but I mean people, but um, human beings, yeah, ourselves. English is the language that runs the world, that drives the world. So to a gay guy, who tends to be more, let's say, masculine, this is something that can give him the chance to work in a multinational company, for example, to travel abroad and be successful in his relations. But to transgender people, I would say that this is a question of empowering them, making them more not only aware of their roles in the world, but giving them the chance to speak their minds, to be represented somehow, to act more actively, yeah, to be more actively engaged in our society. Yeah, as I said, I haven't seen, unfortunately, I haven't seen many transgenders that are not related to the sexual area, right? They are professionals of the sex, they are related to prostitution, drug dealing. Their life expectancy is too short. Um, some of them are expected to live up to the age of 30. And, I'm going 30 in 6 months, and I keep asking myself, well, I'm going 30, and these people, some of them are going 32, and they are expected to die. And as a 30-year-old guy, I keep asking myself, well, uh, what can I do to change this? Yeah, can I actually do anything to change their lives? Yeah, and I think, and I feel flattered to see such amazing professionals engaged in this cause. It's really good.
Yes. And one last question, Hannah, is when you mentioned special materials, can you give examples? Authentic materials, what did you mean when you said
Yeah,
special materials?
yeah, authentic material. Yeah, I've talked to Paulo, and he said that he's constantly, there's this sort of AD department. There are three teachers, three, if I'm not mistaken, four, five. This team is responsible for the development of the material, and they are constantly choosing videos and articles and magazines that can somehow represent LGBTQ people. Um, some of them create, um, especially to the more basic levels. Um, so they can have, since the beginning of the course, they can have the sense of, well, I am here. There's this gay guy who's here. There's this transgender woman who's here. I can somehow relate. I can feel that I can be represented. This is the best thing. So authentic and non-authentic material. And as they are growing in terms of, you know, projects and having more advanced levels, I'm pretty sure that they are going to use more authentic materials, which is really good. Yeah, we can somehow use the language from a very contextualized way, yeah, to empower these people. It's really nice.
Yeah, so that's it, Renan. Thank you very much for your lovely presentation. It was wonderful. I loved the way you conducted your research and the project you do. It's wonderful, wonderful one. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you around. We hope to see you more often in our events.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all people who have been watching this. I hope we can have an amazing day. We are actually indeed. Scott's presentation was marvelous. Yeah. And if you allow me, I would like to send happy birthday to two very dear friends of mine, Camila, who is now in New York City, and Gisela, who's in Dublin. These people are just, they are, you know, the best friends somebody could ever have. They helped me come out of closet, and, you know, they are my sisters.
Yeah, wonderful. So happy birthday to them.
Thank you.
And in the sequence, we are going to have two presentations, one by Fernanda Machado and our moderator, and the other by AJ Dalmasso. We would like you to pay attention to the form we sent you in the chat box so that you are able to get your certificates. The people who joined this presentation, so please fill it in by the end of this day so that you can receive your certificate. And we'll be back at 11:30 with two more presentations. So thank you, Renan. Thank you all. See you soon.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.